Let's face it, dieting is never easy for anybody, really. I remember when I competed in bodybuilding contests, I can attest to the fact that dieting was the hardest part of contest preparation for me, and I think most bodybuilders will agree. I think anybody would agree that dieting, if you do it properly, it's never easy. Some diets are a little bit more pleasant than others, but it just always takes some willpower. As a consequence, anything that you can do that will make dieting more effective would be useful. So what I'm about to discuss in this video is a overlooked technique that's probably the easiest technique you could use and to help you lose excess body fat. It's also something that just about everybody ignores, but if you actually try it, its effects are surprisingly potent. What I'm talking about is the speed at which you actually eat. In other words, eating fast versus eating slow. Most people tend to eat way too fast. This is a problem because, you see, when you eat food, I don't want to go into all the physiology. I'll go into a little bit later on, but let me put it to you this way. When you eat food, it takes 20 minutes on the average for your brain, the appetite centers in your brain, to detect the fact that you're actually taking in calories in food. Now, if you eat slowly, you'll actually have more of a chance for your brain to basically detect that you've taken in food, and the net effect of this will be that it turns off your appetite, so you wind up eating less. On the other hand, if you wolf down the food, before the 20-minute period, you're going to wind up eating a lot more calories because your brain just hasn't gotten the message that you're taking in calories. Now, is there any evidence, scientific evidence, showing that people who eat slowly tend to gain weight more slowly and also lose weight more rapidly? There is. A 2008 study of over 3,000 Japanese people showed that the people that tended to eat more rapidly also were heavier. A 2015 study published in the International Journal of Obesity surveyed 23 previously published studies and found a definite association between eating food rapidly and obesity. A 2011 study published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association found that 66% of 2,500 middle-aged women in New Zealand also found a close link between eating meals rapidly and body fat gains. Fast eaters are up to 115% more likely to be obese. Let me repeat that. Fast eaters are 115% more likely to be obese compared to slower eaters. They also tend to gain weight over time, which might be, again, partially due to eating too fast. In one study, researchers surveyed over 4,000 middle-aged men and women, asking them how fast they ate their food. Those who said they ate very fast tended to be heavier, and they gained the most body weight since age 20. Another study looked at the weight changes of 529 men over an 8-year period. Those who reported fast eating gained more than twice as much as self-described slow or medium eaters. Normally, see, I have to understand, let me explain about this hormone thing I alluded to earlier. Normally, after eating, your gut suppresses a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is produced in the gut. Interestingly enough, it actually works with growth hormone. In other words, it attaches onto growth hormone receptor. But don't misconstrue that to think that ghrelin helps you lose body fat, because ghrelin is actually the most fattening hormone in the body, because it is. I should rephrase that. The most fattening hormone is actually insulin. Ghrelin is the most appetite-stimulating hormone in the body. When you don't get enough sleep, you gain weight. The reason is that you get an imbalance between ghrelin and another appetite-controlling hormone called leptin. Leptin causes the appetite to decline. Ghrelin stimulates it. When you don't get enough sleep, which means less than 7 hours, ghrelin goes up, leptin goes down, you get hungrier, you wind up eating more during the day, you take in more calories, you gain weight. That's the mechanism. But when you eat a meal, what happens is the ghrelin gradually rises between meals, and this is nature's way of kind of making you eat. In other words, it stimulates your appetite so you get hungry and help you stay alive. Ghrelin's important for that. But when you eat a meal, ghrelin stops instantly. It stops. You know, and then when you eat the meal, your body releases a anti-hunger compound called cholecystokinin, which is also involved in the secretion of bile. There's another gut hormone called peptide YY, and still another one called glucagon-like peptide 1. All of these gut hormones cause your appetite to go down. And here's the key point. The slower you eat, the greater the chance you'll have enough of these appetite hormones released to cut your appetite down so you won't overeat, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to lose body fat and body weight. See, these hormones relay a message to the brain letting you know that you've eaten and nutrients need to be absorbed. You know, so in other words, these gut hormones impart a feeling of fullness. So you won't want to eat more because you just are not hungry. It's that simple. As I said, it takes about 20 minutes for all this to happen, for these gut hormones to peak. So, you know, you want to take your time eating. Eating too quickly tends to lead to overeating. And the brain doesn't have time to get those fullness signals. In one study, 17 healthy people of normal weight, this is an interesting one. A study of 17 healthy people of normal weight were fed 10 ounces of ice cream on 2 different occasions. During one session, each person consumed the ice cream within 5 minutes. In other words, they ate it rapidly. In the other session, they ate the same amount of ice cream over the course of 30 minutes. Their satiety, meaning their appetite sensation, their satiety level hormones, I should say, increased significantly more after eating the ice cream slowly, and they reported feeling full after eating. But they didn't feel full after wolfing the ice cream down in 5 minutes. So this applies even to foods that aren't that great for you, such as ice cream. In a follow-up study, this time in overweight and obese diabetics, the slowing down did not increase satiety hormones. However, it significantly increased fullness and satisfaction ratings. So, all right, you know, diabetics, perhaps because of some hormone perturbations or whatever, they don't get the same release of satiety hormones if they eat slowly, but they still get that feeling of fullness if they eat slowly, which winds up doing the same thing. They wind up eating less food. Other research showed that obese young people aged 9 to 17 experience higher levels of these satiety hormones, as satiety, I should call it, satiety hormones, when a meal is consumed slowly. In one study, normal weight and overweight people were observed eating lunch at different paces. Both groups consumed fewer calories at the slow-paced meal than at the fast-paced meal, although the difference was only statistically significant in the normal weight group. But all of the participants felt more full for longer after eating more slowly, reporting less hunger 60 minutes after the slow-paced meal than after the faster meal. The spontaneous reduction in calorie intake should lead to weight loss over time. Now, there was a guy, it's kind of interesting, back in the 19th century, I think it actually was extended to the early 20th century, I should say. There was a guy named Horace, it was in the 20s actually, a guy named Horace Fletcher came out with a theory that if you chew each bit of food 50 times, you'll not only absorb much more of the nutrients in the food, but you'll also wind up eating less and lose weight. And at the time, they called it Fletcherism. In other words, just chewing food 50 times with each bite. You know, each bite of food you chew 50 times. It actually became a big fad in the 20s. Later on, a lot of people, made light of it and said it was old nonsense. It was just another food fad. But over the years, it turns out that Fletcher was onto something. Because when you chew the food thoroughly, you do absorb more nutrients, especially in older people who don't produce, let's say, enough digestive enzymes, enough, let's say, hydrochloric acid in the stomach. It's actually essential for them to chew the food thoroughly in order to absorb nutrients. And those that don't wind up getting diseases such as sarcopenia, which is a loss of muscle mass with age. Several studies have found that people with weight problems tend to chew their food less than normal weight people do. In one study, researchers asked 45 people to eat pizza until full while chewing at different rates. And the different rates were normal chewing, 1.5 times faster than normal, and twice as much as normal. The average calorie intake decreased by 1.5 times slower. They chewed faster and slow. The point being, the average calorie intake decreased by 9.5% when the people chewed the pizza more, and 15% when they chewed the pizza twice as slowly as normal. Another small study of Chinese men published in 2011 found that calorie intake decreased and satiety hormone levels increased when the number of chews per bite increased from 15 to 40. That's Fletcherism. It's still alive. Fletcher would have a big smile on his face if he knew his theory from the 19th century still exists today. So what can you do to to promote slower eating? Is there a couple of tricks you can use that'll kind of consciously help you eat more slower? There's a couple of them. Where are they? Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. First of all, you want to chew more. Count how many times you normally chew a bite of food and then double that amount. You may be surprised at how little you usually chew. Most people wolf down their food. And when you eat, this one's a difficult one because it kind of looks a little funny, but when you eat, most people don't eat with their hands. They use utensils like a knife and fork. One technique to slow down the eating is to put down the utensils while you're chewing your food. Don't keep them in your hands. Put them down. For some reason, that slows down eating. A couple of studies have shown this. I have never done it. I tried it once when I read a study, and I just felt very awkward doing it. So, but that's just me. You might not have any problem with that. Also, you want to drink water. Drink water. Water itself actually stimulates your metabolism. It'll also have a filling effect. And don't believe the crap you hear. I see this on various websites where they say drinking fluids with meals interferes with the digestive enzymes. That's a complete bullshit. That's malarkey. Drinking water with meals does not affect the digestion of the meals, not at all. If anything, it increases the digestive ability of the meal. It does not dilute digestive enzymes or hydrate. I mean, I still see this on the internet. It's just laughable nonsense. It doesn't work like that. So that's about it. Let me see what else. There's a couple of. Well, I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, eating slowly will make a big difference. You should, it takes a little bit of conscious control, but in the long run, I think you'll find that this works quite well. You'll enjoy your food better. You'll have less stress. Believe it or not, it's actually better for your teeth. It's just very much more healthier way to eat. Eat slowly. If you want more information about nutrition, ergogenic aids, hormonal therapy, exercise science, anti-aging research, food supplements, fat loss techniques that work, and many, many other topics, subscribe today to my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. I just happened to pass a newsstand on my way to the gym the other day, and I noticed that the main local newspaper here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Times, it was recently bought by the richest man in Los Angeles, an Asian doctor who lives here, who he invented some sort of medical equipment, and it made him billions of dollars. He's the richest man in Los Angeles. He purchased the Los Angeles Times, and he immediately jacked up the price. So the daily edition of the Los Angeles Times, which I used to read regularly, by the way, is now $2.75 for each daily issue. $2.75 to read the newspaper, right? I know what a lot of you are going to say, who reads newspapers? But the truth of the matter is, you're never going to get the full extent of the news by reading news online. What you get on news online, reading news online, is similar to watching news on TV. You just get the headlines and news bites. If you want to get in-depth stories, you still have to read newspapers, right? The LA Times at $2.75 for each daily copy is no less than 8 times more expensive than my Applied Metabolics newsletter. I know it's not directly comparable because my Applied Metabolics newsletter covers a much more greater variety of information pertaining to health, fitness, and medical information compared to the Times. But, just look at the price. I mean, you're going to get I can't even put into words how much more benefit you'll get out of reading my newsletter. My newsletter can not only save you thousands of dollars of wasted money on bad supplements and bad exercise techniques, it can also save your life. Trust me, I will have articles in there that can extend your lifespan and save your life and your brain. So that's Applied Metabolics, www.appliedmetabolics.com. Those who subscribe, I will send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics newsletter on Facebook. Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where every day I post news articles and studies, brand new studies related to exercise, nutrition, fitness, and general health. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics site where I will answer questions without charge, short questions without charge from current subscribers to my Applied Metabolic newsletter. However, I do not answer unsolicited questions, and that also goes for these YouTube videos. I do occasionally respond to comments under my videos, but most of the time I don't. So if you really want to be guaranteed a response to any question, subscribe to my newsletter, because I really, it all depends on my mood. Most of the time I don't even look at the comments, quite frankly. Occasionally I might look at them. If I see one that's interesting, I'll respond to them. I don't do that very often anymore. So that's about it. Again, www.appliedmetabolics.com. I guarantee you'll learn something no matter what your level of intelligence. I don't care if you have doctorate degrees. You will learn something. I don't cover the usual crap you see on blogs and websites, the same stuff over and over again. I cover off-the-road stuff that is not generally known, and it's very useful, very practical. I write about stuff you can apply to your training and your life right now. Right now, it's not some mouse study or something that you can't use. So again, subscribe today. You won't be sorry. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter and adopt a dog. They are great. Unfortunately, dogs, I've had a number of dogs, they do tend to wolf down their food, which makes sense because, let's face it, they're descendants of gray wolves. So, of course, they're going to wolf down their food. But they're great anyway. Take care.